Now, this bi-weekly design was make a game which is about bluffing and which can be played in a casino. This challenge was my idea, and well, sometimes you just have garbage ideas, and the idea for this challenge, well, maybe it was a little bit over ambitious, but I'm gonna show you what I made anyways. But before we do that, let me just ask you a question. What kind of person are you? We're getting into psychology now. Are you someone who invests in index funds? Do you have life insurance, car insurance, or any of the other following insurances? Are you someone who looks left and right when you cross the street? Then this game definitely won't be for you. However, if you are someone who drives 70 in a school zone, if you are someone who gamble away their entire life savings on Squid token, if you invest in any kind of token in general, then I got the game for you. Now, this one is kind of heavily inspired by the game Caesar and Cleopatra, which I've played a lot in my childhood, but don't let that distract you. Now, for my game, the buy-in is 100 chips. So you start the game with 100 chips. You might choose whichever value you're comfortable with losing. Of course, don't play small money because that's just boring. So go big or go home is kind of the deal here. But you start with 100 chips. And then every player, this can be played with up to 4 persons or up to 4 people. Every player gets 2 decks of 1 suit only from the cards 7 to ace. So you get cards from the 7 of hearts to the ace of hearts, and you get these 2 times. Of course, if you're playing with only 2 players, you can just use 1 deck and choose red and black as colors. You start the game by taking 4 chips from your chips and putting them in the middle into 4 piles, like you see in the video right here. Then you take 12 of your chips and put them on the side. You will use these later to refill the stacks once they're gone. Now the game starts. Each player draws 5 cards from their deck and then places 4 of them into each respective piles. The deal here is the higher the number, the better, of course. After you've placed your cards, choose 1 player who starts, and that player will start by betting on any one of the 4 piles. However, you can bet only the pot size in this game. So in the beginning, you could only bet 2. And then if you can count, of course, afterwards you can bet 4 and so on. Now, once you bet, the other player then decides if he wants to either call, raise, or do nothing, just as you would know from poker. Once all players either called or didn't go into the pot at all, the other player then gets to bet on another pile. However, you cannot bet a pile twice, so in this case, the 1 pile that was already bet, no one can bet on it anymore. And you're gonna do that until all piles are bet or passed. And then you take a d4 dice. It's kind of redundant saying d4 dice. You take a d4 and just roll it 1 time. And depending on the number that pops up, the pile which has the corresponding number, all cards on it are turned over. And the player with the highest card or the highest amount of cards wins the pot. Then put all the cards to the side, and each player takes 1 of their chips, which they laid to the side in the beginning, and places them again into the pile. Now we go into the next turn. Each player draws 2 cards. Then every player chooses 1 of their cards and refills the empty pile. So you have to add another card back onto the pile that just got flipped open. Then it's the first player's turn again, and he gets to place one of his cards from the hand and put them on any of the piles. Then the next player chooses one of their cards and places them until everybody has put down their card. And then we go into betting again, which is gonna work exactly the same way as before, but now the player to the left of the first player starts betting. And now there's one important last rule. When one player has more chips on a pile than the other ones, in the end he will win that stack by default. So if the dice comes up with the number of the stack, he will just win that pile, and all other players have to reveal their cards and put them to the side, and he gets to put his card closed back to the side, which I'm demonstrating right now in the video. At this point you know all the basics of how the game works and you can go on and try it yourself. Only one last thing to say. Once there are no more cards in every player's deck at the end, all piles get turned over and checked for the winner. So just be mindful of that in the end every pile will get checked for the winner, and the winner takes home all the chips, of course. And that already was it for my design. I hope you enjoyed it. Maybe you can even try it out and check out Ivan's design and check out our podcast where we talk about the designs we made. So thanks for watching, and see you soon.